So, while social media is up in arms about Ashanti and Nelly saying that he's not going to help with changing of the diapers, I am not triggered at all by that. As a matter of fact, the only thing I'm surprised about this entire situation is the fact that they are even arguing about this. I don't even know why this is up for discussion because these people are rich and they can afford a nanny. They can afford help. So honestly, I don't understand what this is about unless it's for clicks and clout. But I'm going to give this a take that no one else is given, okay? So buckle up. This is going to be a long video because I'm going to be going back in history, okay, way back, and I'm going to compare the roles of men today and men in the past and prove to you that they have not really changed after thousands of years. Thousands of years, they have literally remained the same. So let's get into it. So Ashanti and Nelly, the reason why I'm talking about it today and why I'm discussing celebrities, they are not just celebrities, but they are definitely public figures that reflects the private dynamics many women endure in their relationships. So first, the context, okay? So Ashanti and Nelly rekindled their relationship after years of being apart. Now, I don't even know why she think this is a good idea. Ladies, never get back with your ex. But they dated in the past and they got back together. Ashanti probably thinks that men change and they mature as they age, but we all know that's a lie, okay? So you by you taking back someone, you thinking that this person really changed. This person probably went through a lot of transformations. I can guarantee you that they have not changed. Most people are incapable of that kind of change and that kind of transformation that you're talking about. Just because you've experienced that, that doesn't mean that other people are. That's all I'm saying. So they got back together, they got married, and not surprisingly, Ashanti is handling most, if not all, of the baby related responsibilities, including prep and care. Nelly reportedly refused to engage in diaper change or any sort of meaningful caretaking. Okay, he doesn't want any part of that. And of course, this struck a nerve for many women because this reflects what a lot of women are experiencing. This reflects the reality of a lot of women today. And this is definitely a much bigger pattern that we have to, I don't know, discuss. I don't know. I don't think this is going to change unless the men are forced to. But, stay with me, okay? Stay with me. What does this symbolize? It symbolizes the uneven workload among the privileged, not just the regular person, because Nelly and Ashanti are privileged. Because with money, they can hire help. With status, Ashanti can demand more. With maturity, Nelly could be an involved father, but he's not. But no. So what this is telling me, ladies, is that when it comes to the imbalance in gendered labor, it's not about poverty anymore. It's about culture and entitlement. So even rich women are expected to do most of the nurturing. Even rich men resist caregiving roles because they think it's a woman's work. So it doesn't matter where you sit in the social hierarchy or social class in society. This is a struggle that many women deal with because this is a woman's burden. Okay, this is a woman's problem, regardless of culture, race, etc. So this woman, Ashanti, is dealing with a partner who is emotionally passive and uninvolved. The burden of coordinating everything from baby showers to doctor visits, it usually falls on the woman in most cases. So if you are listening to this and you want to have a family and you want to have children, listen to this video before you do that, okay? Listen to this video and then go and make your decision. So what this is given that she's coming to the terms of this creeping realization that she's doing this alone with someone else in the room with her. There are a lot of single mothers that are married that are in relationships. And Nelly's behavior is not unique. This is not unique because many men, they were raised to see fatherhood as optional or perhaps symbolic, not hands-on, because they themselves never had a hands-on father. And they think that providing is just money alone. Men really believe that if they have money and they give you money, that's providing. When in reality, it's more to it than that, okay? Because at the end of the day, women are providing, women have careers, women are making their own money, women are the breadwinners in a lot of their family dynamics. So you just coming with a paycheck is not enough. Women need to demand more. Okay, these men are rarely ever challenged to emotionally show up or learn caregiving skills. And I don't have, listen, this does not bother me one bit, maybe because I'm not a mother, but I'm going to explain why. Because patriarchy caused a huge imbalance in society and the family structure. And I'm going to get into that in a minute, okay? Okay, because Ashanti and Nelly's situation is not unique. Their situation is about how women, even powerful, successful ones, still wind up carrying the emotional and domestic burden in their relationships and in their marriage. It also exposes how so many men nowadays, even with the tools to evolve, they still refuse to do it. Men can evolve. The tools are available for them. They don't give a shit. They don't care. I'm also going to touch on how the nuclear family model basically isolates and overburdens women because the nuclear family, and I spoke about this recently on my Patreon because we are currently reading The Great Cosmic Mother, okay? And I highly recommend that you ladies read this book. I'm going to put a link in the description below. Go and buy that book. If you don't want to read it alone, you can join our book club. The link is in the description. You sign up to my Patreon, sign up to the study group tier, and come join our live book club meetings. We have a lot of fun in there, and we are always learning so much. So, the nuclear family doesn't work for most women unless the man is equally involved in the household responsibilities and the caretaking. If he's not doing that, the nuclear family, it does not work. All the nuclear family did was isolate women from their communities. So, with that being said, let's move on to the next part or the next segment of this video. So, let's go back in history, and I'm going to discuss in this segment the role of men and women in pre-patriarchal society. The pre-patriarchal model was communal living and women's centered role. Before the rise of patriarchal societies and settled agriculture, many human societies operated on egalitarian communal models, especially among hunter-gatherer groups. Anthropologists' data, including studies of societies like Kong, which is the San people of Southern Africa, show that women's gathering provided 60 to 80% of the group's food, while men's hunting was sporadic and unpredictable. So all that talk that the men like to talk about, oh, they're the providers and the protectors and they're the hunters or whatnot, is bullshit, okay? Because many times their hunting was not successful. They will go out all day and come back empty-handed many times. And this was also highlighted in the book, The Great Cosmic Mother. 60 to 80% of the group's provision, meaning the food that you eat, the clothes that you wear on your back and everything, women were the one that was gathering and providing all of that. So all the gathering that women were doing, that is what provided the majority of sustenance for the group or the community. Because if women were not doing this, the group will starve. So even back in history, even pre-patriarchy, you couldn't rely on men to provide for the community and provide for the family. So this proves my point. It proves my theory. And this was a theory that, or a suspicion that I had for a long time ago. And of course, I went and I dig deep and I look into the research and stuff like that. It basically proved that women are the natural providers and protectors. It's not the men. Now, these societies did not revolve around the nuclear family. The nuclear family structure is new and it was created by the patriarchy. So instead, what they had was a community, okay? Child rearing, food sharing, emotional labor, and even sexual partnership were communal. Women supported each other and had autonomy. Motherhood was shared, and it's a concept sometimes called alloparenting. Aunties, grandmothers, sisters, and other community members help raise children. So now you're understanding where the term "it takes a village" come from. It literally takes a village to raise children, raise a family. You living alone with your husband and your children, and your sister lives in another state or in another country, that's not natural. You have been isolated from your community, taken away from your sisterhood, removed from your support system to go live with that man so that you can provide for him and take care of him while taking care of his children. Going back to the concept of alloparenting and the community raising the children, in that context, no woman was left alone to manage babies, cooking, and men's emotional needs, unlike the modern expectations. So all of this work that women are doing in marriages is not natural. That's why we feel tired. That's why you look drained. That's why a lot of y'all look older than your husband, even though you all might be the same age or he might be slightly older than you. You are overworked. So let's move on to patriarchy, monogamy, and the isolation of women. So we all know that patriarchy as a social structure invented marriage as a tool of control. So once agriculture and property ownership became a central part of society, of course, the men wanted to control women's fertility to guarantee heirs. Okay? So all of this, hoarding resources and having heirs and stuff like that, all of that stuff is not natural in nature. Okay? All of that stuff is man-made, including marriage. And they created a system that required monogamy for women, but not always for men. And it also required marriage contracts and a nuclear family household. So when you go back into history, okay, you go far back in ancient Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia, is that how they pronounce it? Yeah. Women were passed from father to husband, and the idea of family started revolving around male ownership. So you're not even an autonomous human being. You're basically property. In a previous video I did a while back, I basically said that the role of a wife is that of an indentured laborer. I'm not saying that you shouldn't get married. What I'm saying is that you need to choose your partner wisely, or you need to understand your role within that relationship and decide if that's what you want to do. So, with this new system, what happened? Okay, and by this new system, I mean the system of patriarchy and the nuclear family, etc. What happened? Basically, this led to isolation of women from other women. I do not know if this is true, but recently, and when I say recently, like a few months ago, I was hearing some news coming out of Afghanistan, basically where it is now illegal for women to talk to other women. So the patriarchy don't even want you talking to other women. They don't want you gathering with other women. So they isolate you and they put you in this marriage, and you have to believe that this is now your family and this is who you should put first above everyone else, including yourself. So a woman, she gets married and she leaves her natal family, and she is expected now to pour all her energy into husband, children, and household without her support system. Her aunties, her cousins, her sisters, her friends, gone. They were all isolated, okay? They were all sold off to marriages or whatever, right? So this model of the nuclear family, what it does, it burns women out because it's unnatural. We are not biologically or socially designed to raise children in isolation. You cannot raise children in isolation. You need a village. And when you look at the way society is set up, it just tells me every single day that society, capitalism, government, they hate mothers, because if they really revere the mother as they should, we wouldn't be having these problems. We wouldn't be isolated from our community. And even if we are, the government should be prioritizing things in place to ease the burden of motherhood for many women, because motherhood is a burden when you do not have a support system, when you do not have help. That's when it becomes a burden. So let's talk about care work, okay? And by care work, I mean caretaking and this ongoing problem with modern men. Most men have always done very little care work. They have always done very little caretaking work, very little. In a matriarchal society, that was the woman's role. But again, you were not isolated. You had help, you had support, okay? So now you are stuck with this man whose natural instinct is to avoid caretaking work as much as possible. And now you're stuck in this nuclear family model. And now the burden of caretaking is now even heavier for you as a woman. So historically, childcare, elder care, emotional labor, and home management were women's work. but that labor was shared among women in extended families and communities. So today, especially in the West, the entire support system is gone. Your support system is gone, ladies. If you come from a family that don't have money and you yourself don't have money, you should think twice before you decide to start a family, before you start having children. Because as a woman, you are still expected to do all the caregiving, plus work a full-time job without help. Not only do you have to do all the work and come home and clean and cook and take care of the children or whatnot, you still have to go to work. You have to work outside of the home and bring home a paycheck. And you're living with a grown-ass man. All he does is go to work and come home and put his foot up in front of the TV. He doesn't want to help you. And for the life of me, I don't understand how people have two incomes in a home and they're not hiring help. Like it don't make sense to me. But like, then again, that's a whole other conversation. Okay, let's finish. Let me finish this video. So your support system is gone, and the men, especially those who see caretaking as a woman's work, resist stepping in. So this Nelly Ashanti situation is just a modern expression of this age-old pattern. Even with wealth, some of these couples still default to outdated gender roles, either because of culture, ego, or personal beliefs. There are some wealthy men that still believe that it's the mother's job to do all the work. There are some men that have money, they would refuse to hire help for you. I mean, think of the ballerina farmer. I legit thought that she had help when the cameras were off, but she did not have help. She was doing all that work herself. And for those of you that don't remember the ballerina farm, that was that influencer, that trad wife influencer that went viral because y'all, I can't even remember. I covered it though. I covered that story. So why don't some wealthy couple hire help? So the role of men, historically, according to anthropologists, men's roles were about protection, provision when possible, and occasionally government governance. But most of their sense of masculinity wasn't built on nurturing or domestic responsibilities. All right. This is what the anthropologists believe. I have a different idea about that, and I'm going to share it, and I'm going to compare humans and lions. Okay. And a lot of my comparison is going to make some sense to you. So what we need in modern society is a new male archetype. We need one that supports communal living, emotional intimacy, caregiving, and interdependence rather than dominance and isolation. Until then, a lot of women will keep burning out under the weight of a system designed against them. The system is designed against you. Look around you. Look at the way they treat mothers. Look how society treat mothers. Now I'm going to go over briefly on the psychological impact of the nuclear family on women. By now, if you, for some reason, don't have an idea what a nuclear family is, let me just say it really quickly. A nuclear family is composed of a man, a woman, and their children, and that's it. Okay? They visit the grandmothers, and sometimes the extended family does not live with them or live in the same community as them. Just so you know, okay? It's isolation. So let's address the isolation and disconnection. Human beings, especially women, are wired for connection and community. The phrase, it takes a village to raise a child, was not metaphorical. This was literal. In the nuclear model, the woman is ripped from her family, her sisterhood, her support structures, etc. We know this, right? And what happens when this happens? When you are stripped from your support system and you have to bear all the emotional support, do all the emotional labor, manage the household, work for income outside of the home, and remain emotionally available and attractive after all of that, because God forbid, you put on some weight because of cortisol, or you put on some weight because you had a baby and you stressed the fuck out. Like, God forbid you put some weight on. All of a sudden you're no longer attractive, and then he goes out and cheat on you, and then people want you to think that it's your fault that he cheated. I'm seeing pictures of Haley Bailey coming out recently, and the pictures that the paparazzi took, and she's on the boat with her new man, and so many people in the comments bashing this young woman's body because her body looks normal. It looks like a normal person body. It looks like a body that someone has right after giving birth. It's crazy. Like, what did they expect? Like, they expected her to have a BBL or something? Like, I don't get it. Even women, and people were saying things like, oh, I see why DDG cheat. I see why he cheated. Are you kidding me? These people make me sick. Anyways, moving on. So, the psychological impact of the nuclear family, it leads to loneliness even when married. A lot of people are lonely. The lonely male epidemic is a symptom of the patriarchy, okay? They would fight for the patriarchy and uphold the patriarchy, even if the patriarchy is also harming them. What you're going to see is an increase in anxiety and depression. What's happening now? A lot of people have to go and get therapy. A lot of people are on medication for anxiety and depression. A lot of mothers are taking drugs just to get by on a day-to-day basis. Another symptom of this is emotional numbness and shutdown, and of course, loss of identity beyond being a wife and a mother. Some women don't know who they are outside of being a wife and a mother, and that's sad. And not to mention the constant self-suppression. She has to suppress her needs and her wants and her desires in order for this nuclear family to work. Her needs are placed last. How many times have you seen women move to another state or migrated to another country to be with a man? How many times have you all seen that? And a lot of the work and the service she provides, it goes on unseen. And what happens? It leads to chronic people pleasing, guilt for taking time for herself. A lot of mothers feel guilty when they take alone time. Doesn't make sense to me. Suppress rage. Another thing that people want to guilt mothers for is when they go on vacation with all their kids. Yeah, let's talk about that. People are out here shaming women for going on vacations with all their kids. I don't have kids, but if I spend 5 minutes with a child, I feel like I need a vacation afterwards. The psychological trauma alone from being a mother without backup, without a support system is enough it should be studied, and we should be putting policies in place to support these mothers. Think of the sleep deprivation, hormonal changes, all of that without your village. Postpartum depression should not be a thing, but it's a thing. Sometimes these women develop emotional resentment towards their partner or their children, and a lot of them feel trapped, powerless, and invisible. So why are these governments and institutions ignoring this problem? Why? There's a structural and political reason no major government has taken this seriously. And in short, capitalism and patriarchy benefits from women unpaid labor because the system cannot survive or function without exhausted women. If women stop raising children, holding families together, doing most of the care work for free, managing the emotional health of men, the entire system will collapse. And I know all of this sounds very feminist or whatnot, but you know what? This is the truth, okay? I don't give a shit if it sounds feminist or not. This is the truth. This is the reality that Ashanti is living with. No one else that is talking about this situation with Nelly and Ashanti is doing this take. Everybody's going to be talking about, oh, toxic masculinity, blah, blah, blah. Listen, it's deeper than that because the governments and institutions rely on unpaid female labor to prop up the economy and, the social order. Because childcare alone, ladies, will cost trillions of dollars. They would rather spend trillions of dollars on war than childcare. This is how much they hate mothers and they hate community and they hate families. All of this invisible work, emotional and elder care, domestic work and community glue work, okay? People that hold the glue to the community. All of that stuff is invisible, but it's essential. So, government don't see women suffering as a national problem. They see it as a private problem or a private responsibility because women's suffering is seen as domestic or personal. It's not to them, it's not systemic. It's domestic, right? So let's talk about the myth of female empowerment through overwork. Because what modern society has done is basically rebrand women's oppression as empowerment. Yeah, girl, you can do it. Translation, you must do it all. Work like you don't have children, mother like you don't have a job, perform emotional labor like you're everyone's therapist, and stay hot and available like you're single. See, it's impossible. It's a trap, and it's a trap disguised as progress. Yes, women enter the workforce, but they were never freed from home responsibilities. So instead of liberation, we got a second shift. and we are burning out in record numbers. I guess in summary, the nuclear family isn't just failing women, it's failing everyone. Now, in closing, because I have to wrap this up, let's talk about lions and humans and how similar they are, right? I remember growing up, and I'm 46 years old, well, almost 46. I've been hearing that, the lion is the king of the jungle. We've all heard that. I know you've heard it. You've heard that the lion is the king of the jungle. But the lion is just a lazy ass bum. And I'm going to explain why. So when you look at lions and humans, the way that, lions are portrayed by humans, it kind of gives it this sort of patriarchal dynamic, which is not real, okay? Because the lion is often portrayed as a king, but when you actually study lions' behavior, something familiar emerges, right? Look at the pride. The lioness, which is the female lion, for those of you that don't know, for whatever reason, I don't know. The female lion does all the labor. She does all the hunting. She does it in groups with other female lions. And sometimes they even coordinate like a tactical team, teamwork, right? When it comes to child rearing, the mother, the female lion, she does all the work. Okay, she does the feeding, protecting, grooming, and teaching the cubs. All right. When it comes to defending the territory, this is often managed collectively by the lionesses, unless there's some sort of serious external threat. What does the male lion do? All the male lion does is guard status, not the pride. He's only protecting himself, okay? Because again, the male lion is just like the human male. The only thing they protect is themselves and them and their own self-interest, right? So when a man is protecting you or protecting his woman, he's just protecting his property and his status, okay? That's it. So the male lion, he shows up when there's a threat, but mostly from other males, and that's it. If there's a threat by something else, he's not gonna lift a paw. But if it's another male, oh yeah, yeah, that's the only time he's gonna get up and fight. He mates, he eats, he kill, and sometimes he eats first. The female will go out there and get all the food, and he gets to eat first. Doesn't that remind you of something? Like how many times have you gone to your family gathering? And I'm calling out the Black people, and by Black people I mean in the entire diaspora, okay? Black people in the Caribbean and Africa, wherever, okay? You go to the family gathering and there's food and stuff. The women are in the kitchen cooking. The women are the ones that organize everything, like literally everything. Most the men probably did was give a financial contribution. And you go and you see the women feeding the men first, okay, fixing the men a plate, and the children are hungry. The same thing with the lions. The female lions, they go on the hunt, and his dusty ass sits there and he gets to eat first, and he sleeps 20 hours a day. The male lion is sleeping 20 hours a day. And if he takes over the pride, okay, he's gonna kill the cubs that are not his. So, and what happens? The female lions, they immediately go back in heat so that they can bear his cubs. So essentially, the lion, he enforces dominance, not care. And this mirrors a lot of what women experience with the patriarchal system. Okay, because the men, they want the title of leader, provider, and protector, but they are not. It's a title that they do not deserve because they are not that. You are the provider and protector of your family and your community. Many of them do very little domestic or emotional labor. And women, we are left to hold the community together while also being dominated by these men. The only difference between lions and humans is that lions, they live in a matrilineal pride. So the lion pride is matriarchy. Okay, it's matriarchal. And they are centered around groups of related lioness, mothers, daughters, and sisters, just like we did in the past. And the males are sometimes exiled after a few years and replaced. So the social structure, it belongs to the females, which is exactly what we once had. We had communal sisterhood that didn't revolve around one dominant male. So why does this resonate to me, like this comparison? Well, for me, I see the similarity because it reflects a primal truth that I always knew. And you can just look at nature. Nature is full of systems where females, we carry the weight while the males guard status and reproduction rights. That's it. The only difference is like, the lioness, she's not pretending that it's fair and she's not demanding that, you know, the male lion help with the chores and the child caring, the child rearing or whatever, because she knew what his purpose is. So, after thousands of years of patriarchy and this new nuclear family system, because the nuclear family is new, is the most recent family structure there is. After all these years, men still have not evolved because they see us women as indentured laborers. They do not see you as an equal. They do not believe that they should be participating in child rearing and caretaking. That's why they don't do it. That's why they do the so-called weaponized incompetence or whatnot. And listen, we all know that you would not leave your baby with a man, a random man. When you take your babies to daycare, you expect to see women there because those are the people that you can trust, usually with your baby, so that you can go to work. If you take your child to daycare and it's only men, are you going to leave your child there? I don't think so because I know I wouldn't. Hell, not even men would leave their offspring in the care of other men. Most of them would not. So our role have not changed. What's different is that we have been isolated and we do not have our community and our support system. And because we do not have that, we are asking these men to step in and they refuse. So we are being held hostage, ladies, in these situations. Rich people can hire help. Rich women have a much easier time with motherhood than the average woman. Motherhood is supposed to be something beautiful and something that is shared. It's not supposed to be like this prison. You can't do it all. You are not superwoman. Ashanti is not superwoman. But in closing, I just want to say that it doesn't matter how much vetting you do or whatnot. A lot of women are going to end up with a man like Nelly who doesn't want to change the diapers or whatnot. And I am okay with that because I personally do not believe that that's a man role. I think that's a role for women. I do not believe that men should be the ones delivering babies. Women are supposed to be with the midwives. Okay, the patriarchal system took over and they control everything. We used to give birth in the squatting position, which is so much easier on a woman. You're not supposed to be giving birth on your back. If you look at the history, because I don't want to go into it, but if you look into the history of why and when women started giving birth on their back, that might get you really angry because guess what? It was a man involved. Of course, it was a man involved. But women used to be the midwives, the men never used to be in the birthing room. They never saw like men used to see, giving birth and stuff like that as something really mysterious. They had no idea. And this is one of the reasons why I don't think that, women should require their man to be in the birthing room with them. Like, don't do that. I talked about this some years ago and I basically explained why you shouldn't. And I don't want to get into it right now, but I don't even know where those videos are. Those videos that I'm talking about are probably on Facebook or something. But I know if I'm giving birth, I don't want my husband there. He needs to wait outside. Who I want there is my mother, my sister, or somebody, not him. And I know this is controversial, but think about it, ladies. Motherhood, child rearing, giving birth, all of that stuff was a shared experience and a shared responsibility among women and the community. But let me know what you think about this video. I hope that you learned something. And yeah, thanks for listening.